Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Huyang City, as the center of the entire fortress, resembled a miniature city itself. It occupied a vast area, far exceeding any cave mansion, and at this moment, it was heavily guarded, with colorful and flowing formations protecting the city owner's mansion. Even if the Heart Shadow sect intended to invade the city owner's mansion, there would be some casualties. They've arrived. On the city owner's mansion side, the leaders of the 5 great families, numerous eternal true gods, and a myriad of true gods of void space all looked up excitedly, watching as the vast, flowing army formation of the Marquis of Zhujiang surged into the city owner's mansion. The city owner's mansion naturally did not obstruct, allowing the army formation to enter. The army formation, including General Yue Wu, General Yonghu, numerous mechanical stream secret treasures, and a host of eternal true gods, all appeared, with Luo Feng and Morosa among them. Lord Luo He, General Yu, General Yong, the Lord of Huyang City, and the leaders of the 5 great families greeted them respectfully. Starting from now, the entire city owner's mansion is under my control, General Yue Wu said. The Marquis had already instructed, and I will lead the way, the Lord of Huyang City replied with utmost respect. No need, senior brother Yong, follow me. Yue Wu and Yonghu instantly turned into 2 streaks of light, entering the depths beneath the city owner's mansion. When he accepted the invitation from the Marquis of Zhujiang, the Marquis had already handed over all the recorded formation diagrams of Huyang City to Yue Wu. As a direct disciple of the monarch of Yu country and a potential being of the primal chaos realm, the Marquis of Zhujiang had no worries that Yue Wu would leak the formation diagrams. Thus, Yue Wu had studied the formation diagrams in advance, and had already grasped about 70 to 80% of the Huyang City formation map. He could sense and inspect how to take control immediately. Just a few moments passed. Buzz. Above the city owner's mansion, the previously colorful and flowing formations suddenly turned chaotic, with a significantly more terrifying might. I need to familiarize myself with Huyang City. If the Heart Shadow sect launches a full-scale attack, the rest of you just need to defend, General Yue Wu transmitted to the numerous eternal true gods. Then he specifically transmitted to Luo Feng, brother Luo He, the city owner's mansion is now more secure. Under normal circumstances, the Heart Shadow sect could not possibly break through. But should any special factors arise, it will be up to brother Luo He to resist. Below the primal chaos realm, none shall break through the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng transmitted back. Ha ha, good. Yue Wu then devoted himself to familiarizing himself with the many formations of Huyang City. What he had previously understood were the diagrams, but now he was actually in control. Once Yue Wu took over, he discovered that the large city of Huyang, through generations of modifications, with many overlapping formations, had already become a tangled mess. Even he had to ponder how to wield the might of Huyang City. Inside the city owner's mansion, the many cultivators, who had been worried and frightened all this while breathed a sigh of relief now. Sigh. Divine Monarch, Moyu, who saw Luo Feng and Morosa approaching and immediately saluted, thank Lord for rescuing us. The Moyu family is all within my spatial secret treasure, would you like to see them? Luo Feng asked. I would be most grateful, Moyu who responded immediately. Luo Feng nodded and waved, taking Moyu Hu away. Meanwhile, Mo Li Feiyun, Jiarong Qi, Gao Wu Shui, and others were also watching this place. When Jiarong Qi saw Luo Feng's gaze sweeping over, she immediately saluted. Luo Feng nodded slightly. He and this Jiarong Qi also had some connections. Morosa, you help keep an eye on the Heart Shadow sect. If any danger arises, notify me immediately, Luo Feng transmitted mentally, knowing that as a primal chaos overlord, Morosa's observatory capabilities was stronger than his own. "Don't worry, Master," Morosa immediately responded. Sigh. Luo Feng, along with Morosa, swiftly moved to a spot on the city walls and calmly observed the outside. "That's Lord Luo He. The 13 sect-protecting treasures of the Heart Shadow sect are widely renowned. Any one of these treasures is nearly invincible below the primal chaos realm. Yet, even the combined forces of the Heart Devil Kite and Demon General of Heart Shadow are merely on par with Lord Luo He. Yes, if it weren't for Lord Luo He blocking them, with the Heart Devil Kite and the Demon General of Heart Shadow bringing the Great Destruction ultimate formation to kill their way in and leaving us to resist, that would have resulted in severe casualties. The eternal true gods all felt very fortunate. On the city walls of the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng and Morosa sat there leisurely sipping wine and observing the outside. So-called military confrontations are ultimately just cannon fodder on the land of origin. Luo Feng was well aware of this. In a conflict between two countries, the upper echelons would not easily descend to the battlefield, fearing it would escalate the situation drastically. Nowadays, earning 1 billion cosmic sand is already so difficult. To gain more resources, one must step into the primal chaos realm. Luo Feng mused, as an eternal true god, earning 1 billion cosmic sand was considered a miracle. But if he became a being of the primal chaos realm, hiring one for battle, 10 billion cosmic sand would seem too little. Beside him, Morosa somewhat puzzledly looked at Luo Feng. "Master, what are you thinking about?" "Thinking about when I can become a primal chaos realm being," Luo Feng whispered. "To ascend to the primal chaos realm within the law lineage is really uncertain about when it will happen. Just accumulate slowly," Morosa consoled his master. Morosa himself didn't feel the difficulty, having naturally advanced by just eating and drinking. Luo Feng glanced at Morosa and ignored him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Deep beneath the city owner's mansion, Yuewu was familiarizing himself with the formations of Huyang City, with Yonghu guarding by his side. The strength of the Heart Shadow sect is formidable, but the battleship of the Flame Wind ancient country is somewhat clumsy, posing little threat. However, the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow, without Luo He obstructing, we would not have won this battle, said Yuewu. Indeed, Elder Heart-Eye's strength is close to mine. Once he controls the Heart Devil Kite, I too cannot overcome it, admitted Yonghu, but Lord Luo He can take on 2 opponents by himself. Your realm accumulation is too weak, Yuewu commented. From what I see, Luo He's realm accumulation is no less than mine. Yonghu was astonished. Brother, even the monarch believes you will certainly reach the primal chaos realm. Could it be that Luo He will also reach the primal chaos realm? Yes, he will also reach the primal chaos realm, Yuewu replied, and unlike me, he has unlimited godly bodies. The formidable nature of a godly body will allow him to rapidly grow strong after becoming the primal chaos overlord. With some cultivation over time, he could rival the Marquis of Zhujiang. Unlimited godly bodies, in terms of the purity of divine power, and the massive reserve brought about by their immense size, make the primal chaos realm of the unlimited godly bodies much more advantageous than the ordinary godly bodies' primal chaos realm. You must seize the opportunity, while he is still an eternal true god, to form a good relationship with him, Yuewu advised, glancing at Yonghu. In the future, brother, I will also be in the primal chaos realm, following you will be the same, Yonghu ingratiatingly smiled. After all, the monarch of Yu country held too high a status, and did not care much for these eternal true god disciples. Yuewu was the only one in whom the monarch of Yu country seemed to show special interest. Yuewu smiled. Over the long years, senior brother Yong had been most attentive, doing many things for Yuewu. Although the other sect members also greatly respected Yuewu, none could lower themselves as much as Yonghu. Yuewu also acknowledged Yonghu's determination in cultivation. For resources, Yonghu took on tasks across various regions of the Yu Kingdom. In the future, if I can help senior brother, I will, Yuewu nodded and promised. Of course, the precondition was his breakthrough into the primal chaos realm. The monarch and other godly kings all said that Yuewu's accumulation was profound, and that he was certain to reach the primal chaos realm. Yet I still haven't broken through. Is reaching the primal chaos realm of the law lineage really so difficult? Yuewu wondered, a trace of confusion in his eyes, but he immediately focused and delved into learning the Huyang city formation. At the Heart Shadow sect, the sect leader and 18 elders gathered, with Qiu Yi's divine power incarnation also appearing. We originally intended to use the city owner's mansion as bait to kill the array master. But what happened? We allowed the Marquis of Zhujiang's army to enter the city owner's mansion, and we couldn't even threaten that array master, an elder spoke up. The master of the Heart Shadow sect scanned the room, stating, this time, sparing no expense, the Marquis of Zhujiang brought in Yu Kingdom's foremost array master below the primal chaos realm, Yuewu, significantly enhancing the military formation's power. And within that military formation is also Luo He. Luo He's strength surpasses any eternal true god in the Yu Kingdom. He can withstand 2 opponents alone, the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow. The master of the Heart Shadow sect shook his head. Our plan failed, and that was unavoidable. The room fell silent. 2 sect-protecting treasures together were stopped by a single eternal true god. You all need not worry, they dare not engage us. They only want to escape into the city owner's mansion, the master of the Heart Shadow sect said, but by continually running away, they will be unable to govern Huyang City, or the entire Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture. Thus, they must face us in the ultimate showdown. Once we clash, we have the Flame Wind Ancient Country's battleship, and whether in terms of formations, or the elite level of eternal true gods, we surpass the Marquis of Zhujiang's army, the master of the Heart Shadow sect declared. The 18 elders and Qiu Yi concurred. After all, coming from the foundation of a godly king sect, their eternal true god disciples were generally much stronger than those under the Marquis of Zhujiang. The coordination within their formations held an advantage in all aspects. Elder Heart Eye, Brother Qiu Yi, once the final showdown begins, the 2 of you just need to tie down Luo He, the master of the Heart Shadow sect directed, just keep him busy. The rest of our disciples can then fully exert their strengths. Elder Heart Eye and Qiu Yi both nodded. There may be some casualties then, but as long as you tie down Luo He, the Marquis of Zhujiang's army's threat will be much weaker. We will surely prevail, the master of the Heart Shadow sect declared. Initially, Luo He had proposed an employment price of 2 billion cosmic sands. Marquis Liu Yin did not agree, but the Marquis of Zhujiang did. I don't know at what great cost, said another elder. It must not have been cheap. The Marquis of Zhujiang is certainly generous. The elders discussed. Let's not worry about these matters, and prepare for the final showdown, the master of the Heart Shadow sect said. Yes, the elders dispersed immediately. Elder Heart Eye and Qiu Yi did not rush to leave. They looked at the master of the Heart Shadow sect. After carefully thinking over the combat situation, it feels like Luo He dealt with it very easily. Even his servant Luo Sa didn't need to take action. The master of the Heart Shadow sect expressed his concern. The task for you 2 is important and not easy, to tie down Luo He. Elder Heart Eye and Qiu Yi both nodded. Both were extremely proud, but in previous engagements, indeed, the servant Luo Sa hadn't intervened. If you truly can't stop him, then don't force it. The master of the Heart Shadow sect's eyes flashed with a murderous intent. If he wants to kill our Heart Shadow sect disciples, then you 2 go and slaughter the eternal true gods under the Marquis of Zhujiang. In this war, we must win. All right. We understand. Elder Heart Eye and Qiu Yi both nodded. They soon left as well. The master of the Heart Shadow sect gazed into the distance. The fate of our Heart Shadow sect hinges on the two venerable ancestors. If the two ancestors make a breakthrough, as long as they don't fear the great Saint Juyuan, our Heart Shadow sect will rise swiftly. If the two ancestors do not break through, and more disciples perish, the burden of maintaining the sect's operations will be lighter, allowing it to endure longer. The eyes of the master of the Heart Shadow sect were cold. Search * the noelfa.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Days passed one by one. Inside a pavilion atop the city owner's mansion's wall, Luo Feng was meditating in quietude, while Morosa was responsible for observing every movement outside. With his primal chaos realm strength, Morosa could detect any activity from the Heart Shadow sect. Brother Luo, I'm fully prepared here. A voice emerged beside Luo Feng's ear. Luo Feng opened his eyes. The Marquis has agreed, we will launch the attack today. Yuewu continued via voice transmission. Brother Luo, any issues on your end? I can make my move at any time, Luo Feng responded. Good. Yuewu highly valued Lord Luo, partly because he believed Lord Luo could also reach the primal chaos realm in the future, and partly because in this war, Lord Luo was the critical factor. Luo Feng stood up, and Morosa immediately asked, are we taking action now? Just follow the plan we prepared, and coordinate well with me, Luo Feng said. It's better for a sector beast at the primal chaos realm level to keep a low profile. Don't worry, I'll coordinate well, Morosa said. Luo Feng's gaze pierced through the window to the outside world. The Grand Heart Shadow sect array, that had once enveloped the entire primal chaos armor sector, had been lifted. After the plan to capture the array master failed, the Heart Shadow sect tightened its headquarters defenses, becoming much more secure. Merely moments passed. The Marquis of Zhujiang's legion had already fully mobilized and was ready to engage, some filled with high fighting spirit, while others visibly nervous and uneasy. Direct confrontation was likely to lead to many casualties, but as subordinates of the Marquis of Zhujiang, this was not the time to retreat. It's a fight to the death. Gao Wushui led a row of mechanical treasures, solemn in weight, his confidence somewhat bolstered upon spotting Lord Luo at the forefront of the army. Suddenly, boom 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 .. The whole Huyang city seemed to come to life as one terrifying formation, after another arose. Precisely 139 formations of varying strengths activated and coordinated with each other like a complete entity. As the formations erupted, bang bang bang. Some key nodes of the three Heart Shadow sect arrays set up previously blasted apart. Not good. The formation has been breached. The Heart Shadow sect disciples guarding the area exclaimed in shock, as they too saw the dark array that once cloaked Huyang city dissipate, replaced by 139 interconnected formations. In different parts of the city, several Heart Shadow sect disciples were instantly bounded and rendered immobile by the formidable power of the formations. They were all transported through void shifting directly into the city owner's mansion, imprisoned within its dungeons. Yuewu's mastery in formations is truly beyond belief. At Heart Shadow sect headquarters, the sect leader and the 18 elders together with Chiao Yi looked up at the multicolored, numerous formations. The power of the formations somewhat alarmed them. Prepare for battle, the master of the Heart Shadow sect commanded. Boom 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 .. A battleship from the flame-wind ancient country appeared, containing the majority of ordinary disciples within. Surrounding the ship were two terrifying large-scale formations, the Dark Prison World Array, and the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation intermingled, within which one could vaguely see several super-large mechanical secret treasures. Suppress. From high above, the multicolored formation forcefully pressed down, the Dark Prison World Array bearing the brunt of this terrifying oppression. After the Huyang city formation erupted, it's so strong, the eternal true gods within the dark prison world array strained to resist, feeling overwhelmed and unable to divert their attention to cope with other foes. The Marquis Zhu Jiang's legion also flew out from the city owner's mansion, like a huge vortex of fire and water. The surface of the vortex was also covered with a layer of radiant light, carrying the might of Huyang City against its enemies. Even if you've sought help, this battle will still be won by our Heart Shadow sect. The massive battleship charged first, slamming into the gigantic vortex of fire and water. Boom 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 tilde tilde tilde. Upon crashing into the vortex of fire and water, the advancing troops clearly saw Luo Feng and his servant at the front. Stop Luo He. Whoosh! Whoosh! A black flying creature and a black figure, incredibly swift, darted towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng casually swung the blood shadow knife in his hand, leaving a dazzling rainbow of light in the void, impeding both the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow. Once they clashed, they immediately felt the disparity in techniques. After taking over the Divine General of Heart Shadow, my sheer power is not inferior to Luo He. However, when it comes to sophistication, I am far behind him, Qiu Yi thought privately, having only grasped 5 moves of Primal Chaos Realm techniques. Even with 2 against 1, Luo Feng handled them quite effortlessly. As his blade blocked them, Morosa whisked Luo Feng away, whooshing through the void into the dark prison world array. Luo, his servant, is adept at moving through the void. In the midst of all these formation collisions, he can still move through the void. Both armies were quite astonished. Among them, some elites could perform instantaneous movement under the suppression of ordinary large cities. But at this moment, with 2 armies clashing and the spatial turbulence intensified manyfold, still able to move through the void at such a time, he must have mastered several moves of Primal Chaos Realm techniques in the void to an unimaginably high level. At least several moves in the void have been mastered at the Primal Chaos Realm. No wonder he can act as Luo, his protector. With him leading the escape, those below the Primal Chaos Realm, even within a large army formation, pose no threat to the master and servant. The many eternal true gods of the Heart Shadow sect felt a chill in their hearts. His trying to destroy the dark prison world array, stop him, they cried. The dark prison world array, tasked with resisting the suppressive might of over 100 formations from Huyang City, was already under severe strain. It barely had any power left to deal with Luo Feng, and his reduction in self-protection capabilities meant it could very easily be breached by Luo Feng and his servants. His servant moves through the void space too quickly, we can't stop him. The Great Destruction Ultimate Formation ceased its attack and joined forces with the Dark Prison World Array to counter Luo He. For a time, both great arrays, while resisting the numerous formations of Huyang City, also suppressed Luo Feng, neither able to target the Marquis of Zhu Jiang Legion. The battleships of the flame-wind ancient country clashed fiercely, over 100 super-large mechanical treasures coordinating together, battling the Marquis of Zhu Jiang Legion. A figure of crimson flames watched the battle from outside the city. Such trash, restrained by Yue Wu and Luo He, the 2 most crucial arrays, Marquis Liu Yin shook his head, knowing that with the loss of these 2 super-large arrays, the Heart Shadow sect had lost more than half of its strength. The army formation led by Yue Wu was like a single entity. Whereas the battleships, the Heart Devil Kite, the Divine General of Heart Shadow, and the 100 super-large mechanical treasures seemed formidable, they were truly disorganized. They would be defeated one by the army formation led by Yue Wu. Yang, make your move, Marquis Liu Yin commanded from afar. Yes, father. Inside the flame-wind ancient country battleship, there were many ordinary disciples, among them a black-armored general sent by Marquis Liu Yin to supervise. Master of the Heart Shadow sect, by order of the Marquis, we are here to assist you in breaking the formation, the black-armored general announced, and suddenly, a legion appeared out of thin air. Leading this legion was a young man in a blood-colored robe. Young Master Yang. The sect leader of the Heart Shadow instantly rejoiced. Having been under Marquis Liu Yin for so long, he obviously knew that the strongest under Marquis Liu Yin was this Liu Yin Yang. Marquis Liu Yin was harsh in raising his children and generously invested resources in them. Liu Yin Yang was Marquis Liu Yin's most outstanding child. Moreover, Marquis Liu Yin had spared no expense to have Liu Yin Yang trained under an ancient godly king from the Snow Realm, making him a direct disciple of the ancestral god of the Snow Realm. "I am here to help you destroy the Marquis of Zhujiang Legion," Liu Yin Yang declared, taking immediate command of the entire Royal Guard Legion, maneuvering a humanoid mechanical treasure, as white as snow. Whoosh! Saw the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The super-large snow-white humanoid mechanical treasure naturally possessed an endless beauty, but when it emerged from the battleship into the void space, the Marquis of Zhujiang Legion was greatly alarmed. "Is this the mechanical treasure, envoy of the Snow Realm, from under the command of the ancestral god of the Snow Realm?" Yue Wu exclaimed in surprise upon seeing this. Technically, the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow from the Heart Shadow sect, also specially crafted by a godly king suitable for their own disciples, were nearly as exquisite as the envoy of the Snow Realm. However, the old ancestor of the Heart Shadow sect had long died. So, they were merely managing with some disciples, managing to drive the Heart Devil Kite, and the Divine General of Heart Shadow was already quite an achievement. Whereas the ancestral god of the Snow Realm was an ancient existence known throughout the land of origin, with countless desiring to be his disciples. Those qualified to maneuver the envoy of the Snow Realm had been selected, whether the leader, or the 36 assisting eternal true gods, and 49,000 true gods of void space, all were selected through screenings. Ultimately, they could perfectly unleash the power of the envoy of the Snow Realm. Whoosh! The power unleashed by the envoy of the Snow Realm was stronger than both the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow combined. Wherever it went, mechanical treasures collapsed, and the eternal true gods of void space, and true gods inside responsible for maneuvering them all died, without exception. "Brother Luo He, quickly come and stop this envoy of the Snow Realm." Yue Wu knew it was bad. He could entangle with the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow with his formation, but he couldn't stop this envoy of the Snow Realm. Whoosh! Moved by Morosa's swift travel, Luo Feng and Morosa reached near the envoy of the Snow Realm almost in the blink of an eye. "Leave it to me." Luo Feng also observed the envoy of the Snow Realm in front of him, whose entire body had skin that was pale and stunningly beautiful, bearing a resemblance to the true form of the sector beast. "He resembles my true form quite a bit," Morosa transmitted his thoughts, "but the essence is different. My essence is the path of destruction. The essence of this envoy of the Snow Realm is the great Tao of life." Luo He. The envoy of the Snow Realm looked at Luo Feng, his eyes gleaming with golden light, cold and impassive. "Yes, its essence is the great Tao of life," Luo Feng observed the envoy of the Snow Realm. The ancestral god of the Snow Realm was indeed an ancient godly king who walked the path of the great Tao of life. However, in terms of slaughter, the ancestral god of the Snow Realm was among the top 10 most notorious old demons in the land of origin, having slain countless creatures. Hum! A pure white light surged from the surface of the envoy of the Snow Realm, naturally resisting the power of the formation, as it stared at Luo Feng. In Liu Yinyan's view, if the envoy of the Snow Realm could entangle Luo Feng, it served its purpose. The great Tao of life, yet such slaughter. Luo Feng watched as light glowed on the surface of the envoy of the Snow Realm. Luo Feng, having significant expertise in the great Tao of life and the path of destruction, saw a super-large mechanical treasure containing the mysteries of the great Tao of life. Merely viewing the flowing pattern on its surface was enough to stir him. This slight stirring was like a beacon of light in the darkness, quickly integrating Luo Feng's numerous insights gathered over a long period. Suddenly, Luo Feng blinked. Is this the law of primal chaos, which confused Luo Feng for a long time? But when his accumulation was sufficient, a slight opportunity acted as a trigger, breaking through the bottleneck and revealing everything clearly. Luo Feng was filled with joy, delicately experiencing the completely comprehended law of primal chaos. Luo He, what are you looking at? Why haven't you made your move? The envoy of the Snow Realm was already prepared, and was surprised that the renowned Lord Luo He merely stared at it without taking action. This video will end here.